Before this, you had shared a comment to us that about your cloud that I thought was intriguing, and I want to get you to expand on this. So you had mentioned the cost of these cloud platforms are cheaper than on-prem, especially if you consider the elasticity. Can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Yes, if you have an environment like ours where you have a lot of data, for instance, right, and you have to process data uh, in a way that you cannot forecast necessarily all the time, meaning like you have to reprocess a domain, or we have to do a real-time processing of data, and you don't know how much data you're going to get on this real-time ingestion. You have two options. If you're on-prem, you have to either suffer with performance issues and just like limit your capacity to a certain level that you can pay for, can afford, or you buy a lot of hardware for a peak and use it 3-4 times a month or a year,
Yeah.
which is very expensive, right? When you have the elasticity and especially the auto-scale option that we have in the cloud providers, you get to a point where you can actually do whatever processing you want to do and just pay for that period of use in a very easy way, a very easy to manage way as well. So that's much cheaper. And another example is, instead of having 8 or 9 environments for testing that are fixed and there to be used in an on-prem environment, we have none, and we just like using technologies like infrastructure as a code and stuff like that. We actually ramp up an environment, do the testing, and then just decommission it immediately afterwards. So we pay for a week of infrastructure instead of a year of infrastructure, right? For that.
I'm going to anticipate there's going to be some CIOs watching this. So I don't know if that's the case. Can you share this a little bit about just high level? What's some of the math that you're using to kind of come up to this conclusion?
No, it's basically we don't need to dimension to the peaks. We make the dimension of the basic infrastructure that runs every day and you pay like a full time to a lower level, right? That is much lower than the on-prem environment would be. And then it basically scale as needed. And you see that the peaks that you have along the year are cheaper than paying for a bigger capacity the whole year, right?
Gotcha.
That's very, very simple and possible to do, right? Of course, you need to change sometimes the way you work. I mean, if you don't have abilities like infrastructure as a code to be like ramping up an environment with a press of a button, that becomes a little more complicated, because if you end up like keeping your environments full time on the cloud, it eventually will be more expensive than keeping it on-prem, right? So.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm not saying that the like for like of capacity is cheaper at the cloud. That's not what I'm saying, right? It's just saying that I'm using less capacity at the end.
Yep. No, understood. Thank you. That's helpful. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of speaking with Alan Smith, another CIO, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He said, "Cloud enables organizations to fail quickly and cheaply, but you need to be careful because you can bankrupt your company doing this." So what do you think he means by that? And do you agree with that?
I think that there are many ways we can technology bankrupt the company, right? Let's have to be very careful, right? Let's say, but if I don't know exactly what he was referring to. If he's referring to cost and the cost of the overall thing, if you don't manage the utilization of the cloud because it's too easy to ramp up a new workload and very difficult to remember to have to decommission it, for instance, you can end up paying like a fortune to these cloud providers if you don't control that, right? It's very expensive. I mean, I'm not saying that the capacity there is cheaper. That's my point. So if you start like ramping up and forget to decommission or decide not to decommission and just keep ramping up, it's much faster to buy, right? To buy capacity. You just go, click a button, you get a new server. While in on-prem, you have to approve CapEx. You have to there's a much more work to do, like to buy hardware. So indeed, if you don't control, your cost can go to sky. For sure.
Yeah. How many teams or DevOps teams do you have who have access to these resources?
Yeah, we have the different teams, right? The development side of the house, they ask for ramping up new environments all the time to do testing, to do new developments, to do branches, or all sorts of things, right? They are the consumers of that, let's say, and they use it at the end. But it is sent, the requisition is sent to a DevOps team that actually controls that and understand and kind of put some kind of governance on that to avoid that everybody does whatever they want, right? Let's say. This DevOps team is composed by the operations people and the architecture people that actually sits close to development. So meaning that it's true DevOps, let's say, like team, and they are kind of looking at different perspectives of that: security, cost, topology, and all this, right? All this seen as a whole together by this team.
Hope you heard a few things that triggered some new thinking for you. We do these conversations on IT topics weekly, so please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get updates on new content, as well as you can post comments and, more importantly, suggest topics that you'd like us to address. You can see that we have some pretty amazing resources. So please let us know how we can help you on your upcoming digital transformation and enterprise IT projects. Thanks very much. Until next time.